so far? You think we're going to have winning and losing communities?
Oh, like loser.
Yeah.
Loserville?
That's what it's
You
called.
think Loserville's going to be out there? I want to be in Winterville.
Naturally, somebody has to be the bottom of the food chain, though. So there's always gonna be a loserville. It's just the relativity of what are you defining as the losing side. But I think it's necessary for somebody to be down there.
Mm-hmm. But do you want to live in a community that cannot thrive or flourish, where there is high crime, high suicide, high child abuse?
Well,
High
No,
poverty.
you wouldn't, but due to certain circumstances, that's where you have to be.
yeah,
Can you turn a community around like that?
You can if you, but like you said, you know how you have to have the educated the background, the knowledge to know it's like where to start. Like if you don't have a start point to an end point, you won't know where to.
the people who are naturally there them themselves can't turn it around. It's got to be somebody from the outside who takes an interest, honestly.
You almost have to back the system.
Yeah.
When I started talking about poverty in this community, it was before Obama's campaign, where Obama made poverty being okay to say publicly, but for the longest time it was very, very taboo. Very, very taboo. And the first challenge myself and some others had was having to get people to be able to acknowledge that we actually have a poverty rate here. It was a very difficult. Who would thought that we would have to back up our campaign and really look at changing the mindset of people to even acknowledge what we were saying is true? And for a lot of times, we had to spend a lot of time just doing that right there. You all will too in communities. But a comprehensive plan has to be looked at. And that's one of the things that we did at Building Bridges is we no longer we use these statistics and it drives us to do things differently. So we have a business model that we go in and work with our business communities. We have a upper and secondary educational, which is one of the reasons why we're here doing what you're doing there. So it's not just enough to help those who live in generational poverty. We have to improve the overall quality of life for everybody. And so I have to worry about people who volunteer who are from middle class and wealth as much as I have to worry about people who are in generational poverty. Because they too are part of our suicide rate, our drug use, our gambling addictions. They too fall prey to things and need help as well. And so we have to have a very, very comprehensive, strong plan that's holistic in nature. And there's very few people who get that. When you all start drawing out what life is like now for people in poverty, and you start looking at all those things that are going on, if you were to take that out further and what agencies take care of what, you would find that there's not a single agency that looks at everything. That's what we're here to do. We're to navigate that system and to use all of these amenities, all of these resources to be able to drive change. If we can reverse that and actually make people who are in the unqualified workforce that he talks about and move them to the qualified workforce.
I'm sorry, you drew the model.
Right here, yeah.
That he put in his book.
So as we can move these at-risk or this unqualified workforce, if we can start to increase that to compensate, how does that help us when we go out to look for businesses to move to our community?
Shows an effort, and they're going to be interested in the new people who haven't been set into a company already. It's people who have made the transition or are looking for placement.
We're being able to tell businesses that don't let our poverty rate fool you because we have a comprehensive plan to move the unqualified to the qualified workforce.
And here it is.
And here it is.
Write it down.
Here is our plan of action. On behalf of David Wood, our economic developer in our community, that gives us a little bit of a cutting edge when we can show them that we have a comprehensive plan working with Oklahoma Wesleyan University, working with Tri-County, working with Rogers State, working with Building Bridges, some of these very comprehensive plans to literally move the unqualified to the qualified workforce. So if you come into our community, we're going to tell you we will cultivate your workforce for you. Now, if you were that business owner, would that be appealing? Would, wouldn't it?
Yes. Well, no, at the same time, right? Then you got to pay more. Or wait, are you bringing them to a area where there's not good workers?
No, we're saying that if you want to move your business to our community, there's only 200 we acknowledge about roughly a year that actually move, right? So we've got to entice them that Bartlesville is where they need to come, or wherever it is that you're living, all of Oklahoma. Why come there? And the number one thing that most people cannot show is how they have a comprehensive plan of action to cultivate their workforce for them, their future employees. For a lot of people that they'll be bringing over, that's usually your upper management end of things into our community, they one day will be retiring. Mark Lockman started talking about that. We have a large amount that cannot retire right now. Is it because they can't financially afford it? Or is it that there isn't someone to replace them? And for a lot of people, they feel like it's going to take two people to do their one job. And so they stick with it because they're having to look at how are they going to cultivate their replacement. And what we're going to be showing them is a comprehensive plan on how we can cultivate their workforce.
It's like the alternative education piece. If I can say to that employer, Bartlesville School District has a comprehensive or a program to take kids in high school and provide internships for them in the local employable sector, the businesses of the town, so that they can have, it's not internships, what do you call it when you work under, apprenticeships, so that they can actually get it, they have a plan to go to college, get a business degree, and come back and work in our, so we're actually educating kids, education, not schooling, educating kids in what they need to know in order to get out there and educate themselves and keep doing what they're doing.
Are there a lot of apprenticeships?
That's what we need to have.
Yeah, we need more.
We need to have businesses see the value of that, because if you get to know a kid, we've had people that go to Building Bridges program and work there, and now they've stayed here in the community because they have connections here.
Right.
They know professionals in the community. They're working in. They have people here that care about them, and they know they care about it. And if you can get more people, more businesses to see the value of that, wouldn't you rather have somebody you already know come work for you?
Right.
It used to be, go ahead. It used to be that school systems would only hire people from the local area. They wouldn't, and now it's people from outside
It
of
was
the
part of
area.
the good old boy networking system, right?
Right, but it's also because they were connected to the community.
That's right.
And they cared about these kids. They knew them. They knew their parents.
That's right.
And now if you have people that come in from the outside, they don't know you. In fact, they'd probably rather live in Owasso so they don't have to deal with your kids when you're not in the school system.
I got kind of sad when I heard someone say they're replacing a job at a particular nonprofit organization and we're looking outside of this community. Why are you disconnected and can't find them here? Because I can tell you,
So there's a disconnect.
There's a disconnect
It's
here.
like a multiple personality disorder. They don't,
Yeah.
and you can drive right down the street and see the poverty, and people say you don't have a poverty problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they
Well,
don't
now
really
it's
believe.
all references, like who your
Yeah.
references are. Like if you aren't familiar with like networking around where you live, that you just moved, you know.
So if you're someone from generational poverty and you do not have parents who know parents and your parents didn't come from degree programs I was very fortunate that even though my parents didn't have degrees, they were all in upper management and my dad owned portions of Homeland. And so, I grew up in wealth even though neither one of them had high school diplomas. Well, back then you could get by with that. You could work your way up through something and really excel in something and it was okay. That's generally not the case now. So if I was someone in generational poverty, how am I going to network that and know people and be able to make that? Which is why when we look at upward mobility, which is why I love the Pew Report, because they look at financial mobility, they look at enhancing both the financial, social, and the human capital. And that's really what we start to look at. That social piece of that moving, that social capital, building social capital is so crucial in the big picture of moving someone up and out of generational poverty, moving them towards self-sufficiency. So that's why we created Building Bridges. It was to also look at the economic, we have to look at the financial mobility. We also have to look at overall, which is why we look at 11 different resources. We have to look at their emotional, mental, the human capital part of everything as well. But that social capital was the missing piece for a lot of our nonprofits, for a lot of organizations, for a lot of our school systems. That's the missing piece. Our school is not set up really to socialize and network and to learn how to build healthy relationships. Actually, people go all day and never say a single solitary word to anybody. Never
It's
have anyone greet
competition.
them. Yeah. Never have anyone say a nice thing or greet them. Our tables, we do long rows. I'm a big fan of circle tables. For me, we would redo the whole district with nothing but round tables from this point forward so people can look at each other and talk to each other. So those are things that I hope that you look. I hope you enjoyed Mark Blotman. I'm looking forward to being able to spend a couple of days with him down in Fort Collins here at the end of April. He is very appreciative that you guys are taking a look at his work as well because it was eye-opening for him. Put him in a state of depression when he started realizing what was coming through in our economy, and that if we didn't really start to look outside the box of effective programs, things that really can make a difference, that some of the very communities that we hold dear will start to become Loserville they'll start to become losing communities, and we won't be able to turn it back around. There's nothing we can't save, but we've got a long ways to go, because I really do want to see Bartlesville at the #1 spot. I want to take you down in Norman, Oklahoma. And I'd love to see Olive start to
Or we
challenge me.
could,
We don't want to be on
we
this.
could let the waters rise and we could all go up.
That's what you all,
You know, so we're
really?
competing all the time on the waves, but we're
Yeah,
all
well, it's also like, what
increasing.
is a number one? Like, you have to also determine what is a number one team.
You have to define that, yeah. And statistically, what does that mean across the state of the US? So Fort Collins would probably look at Norman and go, you know, and actually I have a friend that they're sisters. One of them goes to Colorado State University, one goes to, is a professor at Oklahoma University, and they challenge that same statistic all the time on overall quality of life and stuff. So she'll eat this report up, I'm sure. And then I'll get some phone call from her other sister, you know, from Fort Collins, who they challenge. So it's really fun to see that. But that kind of competition is a very healthy competition, and one I absolutely love. Because what they're determined to do is make the best of the best. What we need to do right here on campus, right here, is make it the best of the best. You have an enormous amount to be proud of. And as Bartlesville, we're shining because you guys are here.
It's like I can tease you about basketball because KU's got a basketball team, but I can't tease you about football because you guys got a football team. So it's a friendly thing. We're not trying to kill each other or cheat each other out of what we got. I don't even think we have a football team. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, you
yeah,
do.
do.
You do.
I don't think
You
we
might
even
as
know.
well not.
We like the round ball, not
Boy.
the weird shaped ball. I don't know what the deal is with
Yeah.
that.
That's a good competition to
But,
have.
yeah, like it's what we're good at.
Yeah.
And what you're good at's different. And it doesn't mean we're not going to try to come back and someday have another weird looking ball if we can figure out where it is. We'll get out and practice with it. But, you know, I'm not offended by that at all because I know you're better at football. You guys are really good here in Oklahoma. But weird. KU's never had it. This is like,
Well, I
it's
guarantee you,
football season.
in order for us to
Boy.
become the #1, we're going to have to support you all even more. That's the bottom line.
I was thinking, you guys, what would happen if we went down to and we'd have to get permission from the leader of building bridges, but what would happen if we came down and told them what we were learning from Lotman's book about doing this?
I think that would be
Because
excellent.
they're getting ready to do a little presentation about Wintersville and Losersville, and I thought if that goes
Mhm.
good here, maybe we could get enough of us there one night to
Could
just
you
share
do
a little
that?
bit.
Yeah.
Would you all be willing to do that?
I don't want to say you have to do it because that's the old educational system. I want you to feel like there's a value to it and it would benefit you. And you can put it on a resume, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
because you presented to a building bridges program, the only building bridges program that's really working in all the United States.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just something to think about. We'll talk about it Thursday when we do we'll do our Wintersville and Losersville presentation.
You pick the date, I'll work it around.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And they're supposed to be down there 4 times this semester, so.
We have Gerald Wooden coming from Spirit Church. Have you all heard of Spirit
He's
Church?
awesome.
Yeah, he's an amazing person. But he's going to be talking about the 40-day challenge. We have a resource that we build every month that we build off of. This particular one is spiritual. And so it'd be great if you guys happen to have an opportunity to come this evening or come Thursday evening, because this particular one is really going to be looking at the 40-day challenge. And spirituality is not only a strong belief in God and how you can enhance that and how that can impact your life, but also the belief in yourself as well. And how do we create, and that's what we spent last Thursday talking about, is how do we create a world that is free of judgment, that we're not a hindrance to someone else's spiritual growth. And that is equally as important. If we're going to grow, we need to make sure that we do not hinder somebody else's growth with God as well. And so that's really what we're going to be talking about, and how to overcome diversity and all of these other things, adversity, as you go through life. And so I think this will be a great opportunity, get an opportunity to. When you all want to present, this is something that I have not talked much about with our Circle Leaders and Allies in quite a while. And so I would say this would be a perfect time if you could come in, teach me and teach others what you've learned. You'll be impacting lives. That excites me. I think that's an excellent idea.
Well, I know they're really getting into this and they're doing a really good work. We're going to do Miller's book after this.
Okay?
But this one, I thought that would be a really good thing it'd be a discussion opener. You know, people would want to talk about it then, about
Yeah.
what we're missing here.
We'll videotape it. Let's make sure we do that and send it off to Mark as well. I think he would get
Well, that'd be
it'd be
like a
wonderful
kick out of
to
that.
see that. And then we'll do the same thing with Scott Miller's book as well. So excellent. Do you all have any questions for me? Those are wonderful. absolutely wonderful. I didn't know what time class ends, so I
Well, we can stop. Does anybody have any, if you have anything that you want to add to the grade book that I haven't gotten on there, I've given you the handouts. I think I've got most of it in there that we've done. Get that to me this week. Finish your chapter 10 and 11 outline if you weren't here last Thursday. And then you'll be ready to come in and do the little, we're just going to take on the role. One side is going to be the role of Wintersville, and one side is going to be the role of Losersville. And you're just going to describe your life as a person. So,
Can
that'll
I
be
get a
interesting.
picture of you guys, and do you all okay if I put it in a newsletter? It kind of goes out like nationally, so it knows that it's going to go out to a lot of people.
Get those boobs.
Yeah, we'll get those. I'll put a snow picture right next to it. Do you mind if I do that? Would that be okay?
Go for it.
Because I would like to talk a little bit about what you're doing and let other people know what exactly you're doing here. I think this is a great opportunity for them to know, and Mark will be one of many who'll be receiving it. So if you don't mind, Professor V, if you can get the picture as well, we'll come back there with
I had
you.
to check my hair first.
Oh, okay.
That's that very life.
I don't have to move very far. I like this.
No.
How are we gonna do this?
You might have to
I'm
squeeze
gonna
together.
have Bo needs to be the ending point over here.
Yeah,
Very
we
good.
can
And we're
alternate.
gonna-
You might have to swap.
yeah.
You have to
Did
be
all
on
the
the
short
front,
ones go in the front? Okay, there we go.
You're short if you're shorter than me, I'll tell you that much.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Say, I love you. See? I
Okay,
got a
now
smile.
you gotta go, we're number 1.
Come on, we're number 9.
number one.
We're number 9.
I wanna see number 1. We're gonna
We're
be
number 1.
Oh,
Oh, really?
yeah, really? All right. You guys get
I was like,
started.
oh, we're really